It's Monica Cruz with Breakthrough here in Lower Manhattan, where a group of yellow cab drivers are joining together to do a caravan to Washington, D.C., demanding a people's stimulus. The New York Taxi Workers Alliance has organized this caravan, which will be joined by cab drivers from states including Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Maryland. They plan to circle different national monuments in D.C. with a host of demands, including an extension to the nationwide eviction moratorium, rent and mortgage relief, an extension to the additional $600 unemployment benefit, as well as debt help for cab drivers struggling to pay back their medallion debt, and a host of other issues as well, including free vaccines for all and full rights for immigrant workers. We're here on the ground and we'll be covering it all day here on Breakthrough. I'll be joining the caravan to and from DC.
The hardest part right now is just there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and this is why we're getting together and putting signs on our taxis, driving all the way to DC, willing to sacrifice our time, our money, and just and our day just to go all the way there and demand for help.
Here at the Greenbelt Metro Station in Greenbelt, Maryland, where around 40 to 50 cab drivers from New York City, Philadelphia, and right here in Maryland have converged before we take our final trek of this trip to Washington, D.C.
We came together as a national movement of drivers to bring home the message to our capital that the people across this country are in a desperate crisis. Unemployment is about to end for 12 million Americans. 30 million Americans are likely to be evicted if the eviction moratorium also ends. 1 out of 8 Americans say that they're now experiencing hunger. In New York City, 80% of our members have said that they don't have enough money for groceries for the next month.
Some of the drivers are waiting 9 hours for a $30 job. They say go back to work, there's work out there. And the drivers are going out there. They go to the train station, they're waiting 2 hours, and they're getting a $5, $6 job up the street.
And it's impossible to imagine that in an era where you have extreme wealth and in the richest country in the history of the world, that our people could be suffering to this level. So we came here from all of our cities to demand that Congress listen to the people, that Congress understand that it needs to feed the Americans, needs to make sure that Americans have a roof over our heads, needs to understand that we should not have to choose between a one-time stimulus check and unemployment.
People are suffering, not just taxi drivers. It's the food cart workers, it's the hotel workers, it's the restaurant workers. It's millions of workers throughout this country that are suffering here.
We're asking Congress to stop waiting, to stop playing political games, because when you play political games, you're playing with people's lives. Americans are in a desperation like we have not seen in generations, in almost a century. It's not just the global pandemic that is killing our people, it's also the hunger and the homelessness and the utter desperation. All of that can be fixed by Congress and the White House doing right by their people, passing this stimulus bill and continuing to pass stimulus bills until there is a full recovery